And I have kind of a skinny little, like 12-year-old boy wrist.
No way.
Welcome to the On the Edge podcast with your host, Scott Groves. Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? It's Scott Groves here with the On the Edge podcast, and we're here with my new friend, Brandon Hann, who actually got referred by a couple other guys who know a couple guys. For any of you that saw the podcast that we did with my buddy Dante, who I do jiu-jitsu with, he's a promoter at XS at the Wynn, and then he's like, dude, you got to talk to my buddy Brandon. One, because he's a host, which is like a little bit of a different job description at the clubs, and then two, he's like Mr. Rolex himself, like has just learned, self-taught a ton about the watch industry and Rolex, and I have two Rolexes actually that I got as gifts, and I love them, and I'm always thinking about buying other ones because one, they tend to retain their value, and I think just watches look so cool. I'm actually very unhappy with my current iWatch. It's big and it's annoying and it doesn't do the stuff that I wanted to do and it beeps all the time. But I don't even know much about you, man. Married, kids, boyfriend, girlfriend, sisters, family. Where'd you come from? Like, what's the Reader's Digest intro story of Brandon?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. So yes, my name is Brandon Hann. I'm a host at Encore Beach Club in XS. I'm originally from Orange County. San Clemente is my home. My parents moved me out here when I was younger. Went to Las Vegas Day School, Faith Lutheran, went to school out here, went to school in Santa Barbara, and now I'm back here in Vegas. It's kind of a quick little rundown about myself.
So wait, most people, like if they are raised here, they finish high school here, and they know they're going to work in the entertainment industry, they go to UNLV, right? Because they have the best hospitality program in the world. But you went to Santa Barbara and then came back?
So yeah, I went to Santa Barbara playing football. I was a kicker my senior year in high school. Ended up doing really well with it. Ended up playing in Santa Barbara for a week. As a kicker, I played soccer up until then. Soccer's one of my biggest passions. They wanted me to do some tackling drills, and they didn't go very well. Ended up shattering my collarbone in 4 places. 2 surgeries later, they're like, "You're done." So I was sent home, and that's kind of what sent me back to Vegas.
So you had a mean leg and no tackling prowess.
Yep, mean leg, no tackling. So tackling wasn't in the cards for me. But I guess everything, works out for a reason, right?
Holy cow.
So I didn't plan on being in nightlife. Nightlife was something that it's just never been my thing. In high school, I was never the party guy. I played soccer for the Olympic Development Preparation, ODP. So soccer, with that, there was zero tolerance. Like if you're caught doing anything wrong,
right,
you're done.
There is no high school drinking marijuana.
100%.
Like
There's none of that. So I was like, I want to take off the soccer. This is what I care about. I'm not partying in high school. That's stupid. Same with football. Santa Barbara being a JUCO, I was at SBCC, Santa Barbara City College. It was something where it was an amazing platform for me to show what I could do. And at the time, I was hitting 67-yard field goals, like monster balls, insane. And my hope was to go play at USC or one of the big schools down in Southern California. And so again, it was literally a spoken rule that we weren't allowed to go on the street Ivy. Ivy's like the party street.
Right. It's like Las Vegas Boulevard.
It's literally
in Santa
like,
Barbara.
yeah, literally. And so again, I was there for a week, but I took no interest in it. I was like, football is what we're doing. I was on the field at 5 a.m. First one on the field, last one on the field. That's always kind of been my mentality, even into nightlife. So yeah, that's kind of my background there. I just have never been the party guy. Never was the guy to go to a nightclub.
So what's the transition from like break your collarbone, like, oh, that experiment didn't work out, exactly, end up back in Vegas? Did you go to college here? Or did you just start working? Or?
So yeah, I was going to school here. My dad had got sick, so I took a stop. I stopped school to help him out. It was super crazy how fast it happened. My dad, we used to make jokes. They're like, "Oh, you have 9 lives. Dude doesn't die." Like 5 heart attacks.
Holy cow.
Double bypass surgery. Was back at work in 3 days after that. Insane. Like just unreal guy. All of a sudden, he's telling me, "Oh, Brandon, I don't feel good." And as soon as he says that, old school cowboy kind of guy, like just doesn't ever complain about anything. Take him in, can't figure out what was going on. Then his skin started turning yellow, and we're like, "What's going on?" Ended up being stage 4 pancreatic cancer, and he was gone within 2 weeks. So after that and everything, I just took a break from school. At the time, rewind a little bit, I started working at Topgolf, and that's kind of how I got my feet wet in the industry, if you will. Our director over there, Mike Liqua, OG nightlife guy, like open Trist original venue at Wynn.
Yep.
Just OG guy. I'd been there for 2 years, and
proof that we recorded my garage. That's my cell phone alarm to take my old man drugs at night, like all my vitamins and stuff. So sorry for the interruption, podcast listeners.
All good. So yeah, and Mike took me under his wing. I started meeting a lot of the guys at the Wynn. Jay Sean White, another monster guy that we have at the Wynn, one of our customer development guys. He really brought me under. My first time to a nightclub was with Jay Sean, Stage 8. Remember it like it was the other day for RL Grime XS Sunday Night Swim. Unreal experience. Jay's been a huge mentor of mine, and honestly, our entire team is just full of whales in the industry.
And were you hooked? Were you like, oh man, I really want to be part of this nightlife scene? Or was it really just the nightlife as a means to the end for a great business opportunity? Or
so it was something where when I went and I saw the opportunity there, I was like, I would be good at this. And the reason why I thought I'd be good at it is because it was something I wasn't interested in. I wasn't interested in getting trashed,
right
on the dance floor, and
you're not out there fist pumping every night.
Yeah, that's not my personality. So I was like, I can keep this super business, keep my head on straight, and get this done the right way. And so I started to see it and just pick up on it, and lo and behold, now I'm at Wynn.
So how long have you been doing it, from Top Golf to whatever's in between to the Wynn, or was it just like right place, right time, you knew the right people, and you're at like the best venue in Vegas, your first stop, or what?
So I'd like to say it's like right place, right time, but I'll be the first to say I have the worst luck on planet Earth. It's just how the dice roll for me. I don't gamble either. It really was just, I started meeting Jay Sean, and I knew like I wanted to be at the Wynn. Mike pushing me to go that direction. And so Jay used to come in with a customer of his on Sundays. Well, I work Sundays, so I'd always see Jay. Well, then he started coming in on Monday. I didn't work Monday. And I was like, well, I want to see Jay Sean more so I can learn more, because I would walk him up. He'd stay in the chairman suite at Top Golf, top floor on the far left. And I would walk up, and the whole way up, he'd be telling me something, just anything I could get from him, any sort of like information or just anything to learn and grow, I would take. So I started working Mondays at Top Golf. So I would get that time. Then, another customer development guy, his name's Anoop. Huge guy, amazing guy. Just got back from the Masters, was telling me all about it. He would come in, again, get all the little snippets from him I could, and just kind of learn and this, that, and the other. And that's really how it happened. For me, like I said, worst luck in the world. I feel like I've had to create my own luck by just going out of my way, meeting the right people, again, just going out of my way. And then when it came to interview time, the only way you can get a hosting job at Wynn is through referral. It's not something that is like posted on careers or anything along those lines. It's strictly you get an interview by referral. I was able to get a referral through Mike, through a manager that we have, Tolly at XS, amazing guy. Our whole team, by the way, is just absolutely amazing. Everyone from the top down. And I feel like that's what makes our team so successful. Mm-hmm. We probably have one of the smallest teams. I think our team is 26 people, including customer development. And we not only have the biggest pool, I want to say in the world, 63,000 square feet, but we sell it out every weekend. Like, it's unheard of. It's just crazy. Like, if you see the photos, you can't make that up. And with our venue, it's square. You can't fake it. A lot of other venues, you'll see it's triangle. It's very funneled to where it looks good. Yeah, like there could be nobody there, and it still looks good because of the shape.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and throw them under the bus, because we stopped by there because I was surveying places to host a live event. Yeah. And so I was at Resorts World, and they showed me the ballrooms and all the places we could do our coaching event. And they're like, oh, just go tell whoever, Jose at the front of the pool, just tell them like Tiffany sent you down or whatever, and they'll let you in to have a drink, check it out, just in case your people want to take a load off and party. So we went down there, and the Resort World's pool, I don't know if they have plans to expand it where they do the club there, but it's tiny.
It's smaller.
And to your point, it's like this little tiny triangle, and it's oddly laid out. It's in a weird position from the casino. Like, I think they're going to do some more development there, but you're right. You could take some pictures from there that make it look much bigger than it actually is, where the Encore Beach Club is actually huge.
You literally can't fake it, and it's a big rectangle.
Right.
I mean, you literally just when it looks busy, it's because it is busy. And I mean, props to our team. Our whole team is good.
So I've been coming to Vegas once a month since I was 21 because Vegas is like such a commuter town. And I remember for probably a decade, we wouldn't, until the Cosmo opened, my buddies and I, we wouldn't stay anywhere else except for the Wynn. We had to pull our comps, or even when there was like 5 of us and 4 of them were professional poker players, not me, we would like share a room and sleep in shifts and stuff. Cause like the Wynn is just so much better. And every other club, every other restaurant, every other casino in town that's been open more than 5 years kind of has that feeling like it's a small world at Disneyland, where it's like, ooh, it really needs a paint job and a power washing. And there's just something a little grimy about the bathrooms, and the carpets aren't quite clean.
100%.
What is it about the Wynn that like, because I happen to be at the Encore Beach Club, or not the Encore, the adult pool there or something. One of my buddies got a cabana, and I went down there to meet him and just have a cigar and eat some food. But I'm like, everything here looks brand new. Like it was just replaced. Everything's clean. The staff is still top notch. What do you equate that to, having worked at the Wynn now for a couple of years, of like, how do they do that? How do they stay a cut above the other casinos?
So, like I've said earlier, like it starts from the top, and literally from the very top, where the amount of money that the hotel puts back into itself is just unheard of. It's just so much money. They would just want to make the guest experience that much better, and they're continuously doing things to improve. For example, when next time you're on property, you'll see a bunch of drapes like higher up. And for me, I was like, I wonder how they dust it, because I'm OCD. So like I dust my fan, I make sure everything's nice, spick and span at my place. I'm like, I want to know like if that's actually clean. And so I was leaving XS one night really late. I couldn't tell you what day it was. Leaving super late, and lo and behold, we have people that go up and dust the drapes and the awnings and this, that, and the other. And it's just crazy. The attention to detail that hotel puts in is unreal with everything. It's just crazy.
That's why they can charge $10,000 for a table at a pool.
That's kind of like on the mid-range, but yeah, for sure.
So walk us through, we talked to Dante a lot about kind of this world of promoting and just, the hustle of him being out there, whether it's on the strip or at other hotels or at the Wynn, just like, his job is to fill a very big guest list of general admission, and it's like, it's cattle call, right?
For sure.
So I always think of it as like, he's trying to find the extras in the movie, but you're trying to hire the main actors, the marquee people, the ones that are going to like spend the most money at tables. Am I getting this correct? Is this what hosts do? Like, you're kind of selling the higher ticket audience, and people like Dante are trying to get the mass appeal and the girls in the club, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly. So like, Dante has a promoter, and Dante, again, amazing dude, amazing at what he does.
Dude kills it.
He's awesome and great person. On top of it, that, just great guy.
Yeah.
But yeah, a promoter, for instance, like in Vegas, it would be like they're filling the venue for sure. And, without a strong GA, it makes it not worth spending.
What's GA for people that don't know?
General admission.
General admission, okay.
So yeah, without a strong general admission, general admission brings the energy to the venue for sure. The tables are great, and there's a large portion of the venue is tables, but the majority of the portion of the venue is general admission. And so filling the venue is such an important role, whereas the money is made with the tables, charging crazy amounts of money for bottles and this, that, and the other is what brings, revenue to the venue.
So give me your normal rundown of like, how do you meet somebody? How do they get into your phone? How do they know to connect with you? How do you set them up with X price point for table? Because like a lot of people come here because this is their Super Bowl. They're ready to blow money. But a lot of people got to be like, they're not just giving you an open credit card. They're like, hey, Brandon, we got to keep this whole experience down under 10 grand, 15 grand, 5 grand, whatever. So like, how does that work that somebody gets into your ecosystem all the way to like when they leave the club that night? Like what is the client journey like?
Of course. Yeah. So for someone like myself, I'm so new to this. I finished my first year at Wynn, going into year 2. When I was at Topgolf, I made sure to do all the things I needed to do to kind of build that Rolodex, if you will. But it's really just meeting people, referrals, building your network to where people are reaching out to you. I know when I first started, like you said, it's a grind. It's hard. Hitting the casino floor before the venue opens, seeing if anyone booked online at the pool to get them to come out to the beach club at the beach club to come out to XS that night. There's so many ways you can go to find people.
And did you inherit any like database or, you know, the host that you replaced? I mean, obviously their database is basically their net worth, right? Because that's their earning potential. Does anybody ever retire and be like, all right, we're bringing in this kid, Brandon, I'm going to go work as a steel manufacturing foreman. I'll just give them all my numbers. Or is it like you're just grinding on your own from day
I for sure
one?
haven't had that. I wish. No, that'd be sick.
Find the old guy who's a host and be like, hey man, I'll give you 20% on everything I earn off your database. Anyway.
No, but yeah, it's tough. It's you're literally out there, you know, walking up to people, and you know, we have like East Side Lounge, for instance, at Wynn. It's where people just hang out. You can kind of tell what people like have plans, which ones don't. And literally walking up to people, and I'm telling you, like 9 out of 10 people will say no, but there's that one that'll say yes. For example, I want to say it was like my first 2 weeks into the job. Our director, Sammy Maselli, amazing guy, reached out to me and was like, oh, hey, Ryan Jones, he's our VP. He was like, oh, Ryan Jones wants to see if you can get a table in for tonight, 3K and up. Let's see if you can do it. And I was like, oh, yeah, for sure. Lo and behold, I just happened to walk up to the right group, and I was like, hey, listen, you know, I see you guys are out here. It looks like you're celebrating something. Ends up they were coming in from like Irvine, celebrating some tech company that they had just sold. Golden ticket, right? Golden. Like you're just like money in the bank. And I was like, I don't remember who was performing that night. Just, you know, it's all a blur now.
Right.
And I was like, listen, I have one table left. It's 3K. If you guys want it, you'd have to take it right now. And they're like, done. And I was like, unbelievable. I was like, Sammy, I got it. I got the table within 10 minutes of him texting me. And at the time, I wasn't even in the system to like put the reservation in myself. I was like, Sammy, can you put this in for me? Like, I got it. He was like, that's unreal. So, you know, again.
So is it all automated like throughout the day and then into the beginning of when the club is open? Are you getting text message or Slack channel alerts or Telegram or something like that where it's like, hey, we've got 7 tables left. We got to sell XYZ, this price. That like, how does it work?
Yeah.
Technologically? So
my phone is connected like to our system at Wynn.
Got it.
So it's literally like borderline property of the Wynn at this point. So for example, like my calendar, my phone will have, okay, we have Diplo Friday, Chainsmokers Saturday, Griffin on Sunday. Here's the pricing. And that's how it'll show us the pricing. Regarding table sales and how we know what's left available, it'll literally say 2 left available, 1 left available, sold out. And like, that's really how it goes.
So can we do something real time right now and see like
I can literally show you.
Can we see like, all right, it's Sunday night. We're recording this in April. You know, next Friday we're almost to summer. Like what would be the price range on tables for next Friday, Saturday, Sunday? Whoever's like the best show in town.
So like for perfect example. So like for David Guetta on Saturday, I would pull up my calendar right here. And it would show you what the pricing is. So lower bungalows, 20,000, upper bungalows, 10,000. We have 1 left. And so far, that's about what we have going on. We're already starting to sell out. L couches sold out. Dance for water.
How much is the cheapest and how much is the most expensive thing available for David Guetta?
So for David Guetta Saturday, absolute monster. This past Saturday, I want to say we did 4,000 people. And given it's probably the first weekend the weather's been nice, people are still like timid about coming out, right? Cheapest, 3,500. Most expensive, 20,000. Here's the thing, though. Again, huge numbers, right?
Right.
That's no joke whatsoever. What I really can appreciate about that, from what I've like taken away from Topgolf and to now, is you get to utilize that entire amount. So, given yes, the bottle prices are what you'd expect for the strip,
right?
But it's $3,500 that you get to utilize. There's not another place in the world where you're going to be able to see David Guetta, you know, the way you get to see him at Encore Beach Club.
Right.
And you're at Encore Beach Club.
Right.
Just unreal experience. You get to, like I said, you get to utilize that. Whereas like Topgolf, if you want to go in the chairman's suite, for example, it's $1,000 an hour, and then there's a food and beverage minimum on top of it.
Right.
To me, paying a rental fee sucks.
Yeah.
That's no fun.
So all that, like, let's say, all right, I've got 10 guys coming into town for a mortgage conference. We want a table, a decent table. It doesn't have to be like right next to the DJ.
Yeah,
10 grand. Will that get you something like a good table? Okay.
Yeah.
So 10 grand.
For sure, like an upper dance floor.
And all of that goes towards the drinks and bottles.
For sure.
Right. So let's say we're going to see somebody So I just bought tickets to Power Trip down in Coachella, which is going to be like
Super cool.
Guns N' Roses, AC/DC, Ozzy Osbourne, Metallica.
Yeah.
It's going to be awesome.
All those, yeah.
So it's 3 nights. It was about $900 a ticket, so $300 a night. So I'm just thinking like $300 for tickets. How many people can you have at a table? 10-ish, 12-ish, 5-ish?
Yeah. So again, it
Like a
totally
$10,000
depends.
table.
Like you can totally see here. So like this is Kygo. We have a couple shows with him. So for like that 10K range, you'd be on an upper dance floor. You could have 12 people.
Okay.
So that's something where like you'd be comfortable at that.
All right, so you got 12 people. Let's say this is somebody I really wanted to see. $200 for a ticket, $300 for a ticket. So like the first $3 to $4 grand is really just that's what I would pay at a concert to go for 12 guys to go to a concert.
Exactly.
So then we just got to drink $7 grand worth of booze to get our money's worth.
Pretty much. And here's the thing too. And I tell people all the time, you know, for perfect example, let's use the 10 people, for example.
Yeah.
Someone reach out to me and they'll be like, hey, yeah, you know, we have 10 people. Wow, minimum's 10 grand. You know, that's kind of high. Well, hear me out. You're going to pay $85 a ticket to come see Kygo.
Yeah.
Okay, $85, $10, $850. And then on top of that, you're going to pay $30 a drink at the bar if you can even get to the bar.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but with the amount of people we do, it's going to be 30 minutes before you get a drink. And I'm sorry, that's just what it is.
Yeah.
So that's how I tell people. I'm like, you're paying for like the convenience.
And if I'm going crazy on vodka sodas, I can probably, like I'm 200 pounds, I can probably drink 12 or 15 of them.
That's what I'm saying.
That's
You're
$400 or $500 each in booze plus the ticket, 300. So 10 guys, you figure $7,000 is like what we would probably spend individually. So tack on $3 grand for like convenience and feeling like a baller that you have some type of table. I'm not saying it's cheap by any stretch of the imagination, but if this is your Super Bowl and you're coming to Vegas once in a while,
100%.
and 10 of you jump in and each spend $1 grand,
That's what I'm saying.
not
if you
not
break
the
it up.
end of the world.
And here's the thing, like a David Guetta Saturday, obviously David Guetta has been doing this since the 90s, what? Like he's a legend at this point.
Right.
You could come.
How is that guy still doing it, by the way?
He's just
like,
an animal.
Hasn't he retired yet? Like he had
an
to have
animal.
made enough money to retire. Can you look up David Guetta's net worth, Chris? See if you can find.
I think it's like unreal.
Guetta, Scott, Guetta.
Guetta. That's what I said. Oh, did I say Guetta?
Keep saying Guetta.
All right, Guetta. Sorry. Guetta. Is that right?
Yeah.
I keep putting a W in there, huh? All right, look up David Guetta's net worth. This is going to be interesting.
Yeah, no, it's unreal. But like, for example, like Kygo XS Saturday, May 13th, tables start at $1,500 for 6 people.
How much?
150.
150 million?
That's legit.
Fuck. Like, come on, man. Just retire. Stop spinning records. Like, go have more kids or.
That's the thing too, though, is it's
vacation.
Like it's his passion, though. Same thing with me and watches. Like you just never want to stop. Like
Right.
I could talk watches for days. Like after the beach club today, I went to Rolex just to hang out, just to talk. And like that's the relationship I've built with the people at Rolex at Wynn. Is like to the point where they're my friends, and you know we can talk watches and talk about movements and this, that, and the other, and we all have a really good time and enjoy it. Same thing with David Guetta spinning for 30 whatever years it's been.
Right.
Like good
Since
for him.
we're here, he's number 4 in the most wealthy DJs in the world, behind Tiesto,
That makes sense.
Gianluca Vacci, which
Don't know who
I
that
don't know
is.
who that is. But he's number 2, and number 1 is Calvin Harris.
He's an animal.
Yeah.
He's also
He's still performing.
yeah, we have him
100
at
nights, 100 nights a year or something crazy.
Yeah. I mean, he's unreal.
Yeah.
So yeah, he's another headliner we have at Wynn, and then like Swedish House Mafia, unreal. Like
They're playing again?
They're number 6.
we had them last year, just unreal.
If they come back, I would pay big money to see them. I happened to
They're
see
so
them
cool.
dumb luck 3 times in one summer. Like a buddy of mine knew I was kind of like down in the dumps. I just got divorced. He got me tickets to go to some like festival in LA, and they were the headliners. Didn't know who they were. Fell in love with them just because of the energy and the music. And then they were up here playing at a club, and we're like, yeah, let's go. And then I saw them at the iHeartRadio concert when they were doing like their farewell tour, and they weren't going to tour anymore.
Yeah,
and
they were
then
gonna break up,
10
from
years
what I
later,
heard.
they're like, hey, let's make way more money and be real nice to each other.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And can we also talk about how we have Rufus DeSoul?
Yeah.
As a resident DJ at Wynn,
Don't know a whole lot about him, but I'm
Unreal.
sure I know some of his music.
just unreal. The group is so sick. I feel like it's like the Beatles for our generation. I feel like they are that good.
So do you guys have like your 3 or 4 staples that are there 50 nights a year or something?
sure.
And then
Of
how
course.
does that work with the rotation of the music?
So that's above my pay grade. I wish
Yeah.
I was at that pay grade. But basically like we'll have chain smokers, Mellow and Marshmallow, and probably Diplo the most.
Got it.
Chain smokers, I can't tell you how many times I've seen them, and every time is like the first time. They're that
Really?
good. I love seeing the chain smokers. The guys are so cool. Like Mellow is, again, we've gotten the opportunity to meet Mellow, and just such a nice guy.
Does he take off the mask yet?
Yeah,
we
got a scene without the mask, and then like we were able to shoot some photos with the mask on, and like coolest guy, super down to earth, like just a normal dude, and which I think is so cool because before I was doing this entirely, I was building protection dogs, learning that trade, and doing all that out in Westlake Village in LA.
Wait, you're training protection dogs?
Yeah, so that's like my original protection dogs, motorcycles,
like Malinois?
Malinois. Yeah. So we would import them out of Italy and France, and literally just get to work. And that's what so before I started at Wynn, I finally pulled the trigger on one for myself. I imported a Malinois.
So you have
Italy.
like a killer Malinois that will like rip somebody's throat out?
So just with the workload, I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I ended up selling him. He's in Scottsdale. I actually just got a photo of him today. Just living his best life. Travels with this guy everywhere he goes. Flying to Germany, like doing all these cool things that I would have never been able to do for him. Doing
Dog's got a better life than I do.
The dog ate better than I did when I had him. He's still eating better than I am. But yeah, like just an unreal, so cool. But like you'd meet people out there and they'd be like, "Oh, do you know who I am? Like I'm in this movie, like da 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 da." Like that is the worst.
Yeah.
Like at the end, like these guys that we deal with at Wynn, they are so cool. Not like that at all.
Just got the dream job, right?
I think being a DJ,
them.
like that has got to be the coolest job in the world. Like I tell people all the time, man, if I could do anything, that'd be really cool to do. Like to get paid all this money to play at the coolest venues, to have people that love you and that like what you're doing can like help them and whatever. I got an email today from a lady and she's like, "Oh, I was a cancer survivor. I listened to Kygo throughout my entire chemotherapy. Like I love him." And they bought a table last year and they want to come again this year for him. And like, it's just nice that, it's a returning customer of mine.
Right.
That like truly Kygo's music had an impact on her, just her spirit throughout such a difficult time.
Dude, you gotta show him that email so he can like give her a shout out at the club. Cause I feel like nobody would lie about that. Nobody would lie about chemo.
Literally.
Just to try to meet the DJ.
When I met them last year and they told me that my dad wasn't sick at the time, or my dad was gone by the time, but, it's obviously super moving. And like even the server, I was telling the server about it, the server started tearing up. And it's just like, it's great to see someone like overcome something like that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That's nuts, man. I'm gonna have Chris look some of these up because I want to see if any of these numbers are public. But so you've been at the Wynn for like a year. What are you finding now that you've kind of hit your stride? Like, what's been most surprising either about the clientele? You must be working like 9 p.m. till 4 in the morning or some crazy hours. Like
our hours are crazy.
What are you discovering about being in this lifestyle that's like a little bit of a surprise, either pleasant surprise or frustrating, unfortunate surprise?
I would say the biggest surprise to me at least is how little sleep the human body can run on. It's crazy. I don't sleep a lot.
What's the schedule look like for you?
Last night at XS, we got there at 10. I closed last night. We left around 4. By the time I was gone, left around 4. Today, Sunday, we opened late at the pool, so it was nice. So we weren't on property until 12:30. I wasn't on property until 12:30.
So you don't get home and like wind down probably till 5:30.
That's what I'm saying. Like by the time you get home, like I live, Summerlin side. By the time I get from the Wynn to my side of town, it's 25 minutes. By the time I like get my dress shoes off, take my tie off, and this, that, and the other, it's like, you just want to like decompress for a minute. It takes a second. Get in the shower immediately, rinse off whatever, shower. And then for me, like my come down is looking at watches. That's like what I do. I literally will just sit on the couch and just look at watches.
So like what time do you go to bed? Because like once the sun comes up, doesn't your circadian rhythms kick in again? And you're like,
you're
so
supposed
tired
to be awake that you literally just knock out.
Yeah.
So
world's best blackout curtains.
I know, right? Really, like my first year, the pool is hard. Like to do doubles is really hard.
Explain what the doubles are.
So doubles is when you're working at the pool during the day and then you're at the nightclub at night. And it's hard. You know, our pool shifts, for instance, you know, on like a Saturday is obviously the biggest day of the week. The pool opens at 11. We're there at 10:30. 10:30, depending if you're closing or not. If you're closing, you're there till 5:30. And then from there, basically, you're there till 5:30. If you're there at 10:30, you're most likely leaving around 4:30, to be honest. And then the closers will get done at 5:30. Then you're at XS at 10 to, you know, prepare for the night, pre-shift, get everything going.
And all during this time, you're selling, you're hustling, you're
Literally
texting.
on your phone the entire
So there's
time.
no like going home at 4 from the pool and just sleeping
Taking a
for
nap.
4 hours because
So
you got to hustle everybody to get to the club, right?
1,000%. So I remember that was the hardest part for me my first year. My first 2 weeks were brutal. I literally was like, this sucks. Like, this is hard. For real, I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Hard. And like you have the heat, and like this time in March it was 100 degrees. It wasn't
Right.
this garbage weather we've been getting.
Yeah, this is like I just saw the other day that this March was like the
Coldest in 50
coldest
years.
Yeah, coldest on record
Crazy.
for 50, 60 years or something like that in Vegas. So it's nice
Insane.
nice and comfortable. I thought I was gonna have to go back to LA earlier this year because we have a place down there and just to escape the heat. But it's been surprisingly nice.
It's been nice, honestly. It has been nice, and the cool weather has been enjoyable. But we're definitely ready for the hot season. But like, you start getting sunburned and all this stuff, like, just takes.
Yeah, you
so
don't
much-
exactly. For those not watching on YouTube, this
know.
gentleman Brandon does not have a lot of melanoma. in his
I got
skin.
pretty burnt. In just the 2 days of sun we've had. But yeah, I mean, it takes a lot out of you. So my first year, I'd go home and I'd crash. I'd just knock out, sleep. And I realized learned real quick from not only like the guys working, you know, mentoring us, but just from experience, like, you have to be on your phone. Like, you fall asleep for 2 hours, you wake up with a ton of texts, ton of DMs on Instagram, people wanting to come in. You know, you're missing sales. If you're not responding, they're texting someone else.
Yeah.
And
They're
that's
going to Tao or they're going to
Not even that, but they'll reach out to another host. Someone that will answer their phone.
Right.
You know? And that's that, you know?
Do you mind if it's not too personal and you can tell me to shut the fuck up?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Do you mind if I ask how the economics work for the host? Like, do you get a percentage of the table, a percentage of the bar? Do you work on tips?
And
by the way, this is super secret, top secret stuff.
No. How hosts get paid is I'm salary plus commission.
Okay.
So depending on the day and who's performing is what that percentage base is off of.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how we get paid. And yeah, that's really it.
Okay. Percentage of the tables.
Percentage of the table.
Got it. So you log people in, and then end of the night, you're like, sweet, they spent 20 grand.
Yeah, right. I'm like doing math in my head.
You're like, wow, that was a good sale.
Yeah, you know, but yeah, you know, that's really how we make our bread and butter. So
What's the craziest thing you've seen with clients, and what's the most frustrating thing? Like, do you have people just like stiff you, or their credit card gets declined, or they're a no-show or whatnot? And then like, what's the most exciting thing where you're like, oh, that was cool, I just printed money tonight?
yeah, honestly, I really haven't had too many frustrating, you know, there's obviously been, you know, I had an 8K cancel on me, Swedish House Mafia night. That's obviously a huge blow, you know, for someone like anybody, really, honestly.
Yeah.
Big host, small host like myself, you know, just getting their feet in the game. An 8K hit is a big hit. You know,
Yeah.
that sucks. And that sucks for anybody. But I feel like in my first year, I've had a ton of great success.
Nice.
You know, thank God, you know, it's really just been, it was a good first year, I think. You know, some of my biggest customers are now friends. I would consider friends. They're coming back out. I just talk to them.
Yeah.
Talk about cars, talk about watches, talk about life, you know?
Yeah.
And that's so cool. I think the coolest experience I had is, you know, just people going big. And like, there's nothing cooler than that. I remember going to the podium one night and I was like, hey, like, can we please just do a low minimum? I know this guy's going to spend. Please just, can you make this happen? And they're able to make it happen. We were able to put him on 805. I'd have to show you a map, but he was on table 805. Ended up moving to 803, which is closer to the stage. And then from 803, by the time he was on 803, I'd ordered three liters of PJ Blanc de Blanc. I couldn't tell you what the bottle cost, but it's unreal.
Not cheap.
By the time, long story short, by the end of the night, his tab was like 70-something thousand, which is insane for one night. Like, unreal experience. It was mellow night swim. Like, what? It doesn't get any cooler than that. Just unreal experience. Something like is unreal.
70 G's in one night.
70 grand in one night. That's pre-tax gratuity venue fee. So 10K, for instance, like back to this 10K number, it's 10K before tax gratuity venue fee.
Yeah.
That's roughly 36%.
Okay. So you end up spending 14 grand.
Yeah.
Whew.
So so there is that on the back end. So that's my spiel is like, hey, just so you know, like it's a 5K minimum, 10K minimum. There's tax gratuity venue fee not included in that, just so you know. So there's that.
That's nice of you to tell them up front, because I would be a little bitter if I was like, hey man, keep us at 10 grand, and then it comes and it's like 14 grand. I'm like, oh,
I feel like if you don't, that's just like a bummer, and it's almost like being dishonest almost.
Yeah.
Because it's like, oh, now I have to pay this. Like we already divvied up 10K, now we have to divvy up 14.
Yeah.
Or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
There's that.
Obviously, there's the, XS Encore Beach Club. They're the best in town. I don't have to say it you don't have to say it. I'll say it for you. That the Wynn's to me, it's the best casino in town.
I agree.
Service, staff, everything. So obviously a lot of that sells itself, right? And then the DJs, they kind of sell themselves. People want to see Diplo. They want to see Kygo. They want to see Marshmallow. But how much of it is also you marketing yourself, either staying top of mind through text message or Instagram? Because I can remember like one of the top 5 nights of my life were at the Hakkasan at MGM like 10 years ago, and we saw Tiesto, and it was super cool, super crazy. I couldn't tell you the guy's name who hooked us up. And by the way, he was like a friend of a friend. He got us a really good deal. We tipped him. Like we took very good care of him. Couldn't tell you his name. He hasn't made a point to stay in touch. Maybe he's in my phone somewhere as like, Charlie Vegas or Charlie MGM or something.
Totally.
But how do you continue to like market yourself to get the repeat business?
I mean, that's a tough one. I mean, just reaching out, staying on my phone, taking really good notes. One of the greatest mentors I have at Wynn, and I'm so grateful to have him in my life, is Bryce Giorgio. He's another just monster in the nightlife industry. I think that's why I think our young guys are so successful. When I mean young guys, like junior hosts, new guys to the game, is so successful is our leadership team. I can't say enough good things about him. Our director at XS, Trevor Pickering, amazing guy. Sammy Maselli, director at EBC, unreal. If you have any sort of question or trying to just learn or any pointer they can see and give you, they give you. Bryce Giorgio, like I mentioned, he's on our customer development team. Just the way he organizes his phone is crazy.
So when you say take notes, like what are you doing? Like, all right, so you meet Scott Groves. I tell you we're coming to a mortgage conference. I hook you up with one of my buddies, Mike, and Mike's like, hey man, I got to take out all these recruits. We're going to go hard in the paint. It's on the company bill. What do you do? Do you have a CRM you put them in? Do you like?
No, it's just all in my phone. So like, for example, I'd be like, oh, Scott, like, of course I'm not just going to like hit you with this random, right? Like I'm going to talk to you either on property or we'll figure something out to where I can get the ball rolling and have a genuine conversation. I feel like that's how you retain customers and just people. It's not this, and I feel like this is with life itself, is like, it's not a customer. It's a real relationship we're building. It's not, you're buying this and I'm selling it to you. And I feel like that's when it's just a one trip, cool, thanks. I'm going to find another host the next time. I'm going to Instagram search Las Vegas host, Wynn Nightclub, and try and figure it out. I think that's how you retain that business, is by having genuine conversation. Maybe we start talking about football and you're like, oh yeah, I'm a big Rams fan, or big LA fan.
Right.
I like the Chargers when they were in San Diego, but they're in LA. That's whack, whatever. And then, Scott likes the Chargers. When the Chargers start playing, I'm for sure going to hit you up and be like, hey, did you see that game today?
Or hey, the Chargers are coming into town to play the Raiders
at Wynn Field Club. Come see it at Wynn Field Club.
Nice.
Only place in the world with a nightclub in the stadium. Literally the only place you can do it is Wynn Field Club. And that's another one of my biggest spenders, $50K at Wynn Field Club. Unreal. For his son's 21st birthday. So cool. Coolest guy in the world. Just want to do something cool for his son. How cool is that? Like being able to experience that with your dad. Could you imagine?
Yeah.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
So like that to me is so cool. But like one of the guys that I just talk to, we talk about, I'm a big car guy too. My dad started me young on that, and Porsche has been a big part of my life. Talking Porsche, Ferrari, this, that, and the other with, people that are buying them and driving them and enjoying them. And I just think having that knowledge, is, how everyone has their thing, right?
It's kind of interesting because accidentally your dad's interest of exotic cars and watches and Rolex and stuff kind of sets you up really well for this, right? Because if you're walking through the club and or if you're walking through the casino and you see somebody has a $85,000 Daytona on,
For sure.
they probably make enough money to drop a few grand at the table.
For sure. And let's segue into watches. So I wear a sub no date. It's what I wear. I'll show it to the camera so that they can kind of get a look at it. And I wear a sub no date. For me, this is like, if I was a watch, this is what I would be.
Right.
So plain Jane, so boring. Wouldn't look at it twice. But like, it's so complex. It's crazy, like the amount of work and effort that goes into this. For me, like, and like my watch, like the doors that my watch has opened for me it's just unreal.
Really?
Like, unreal, because people that buy a sub date, you're an enthusiast. If you go look anywhere, everyone's wearing a sub date. It's, sub for like everyone, I'm sure but Submariner with like, it'll have the date window and the big bubble. When you're diving, when are you looking at the date?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
You care about seconds and minutes.
Are you looking at the date? So again, the sub date's cool. Don't get me wrong. It's not my cup of tea. It might be someone else's.
Yeah, and it's only a really discerning eye that will notice that on a watch.
For sure. So I can't tell you how many times I haven't been paying attention and I'm just hanging out at the Wynn because I like hanging out at the Wynn. And someone's like, "You're wearing a sub no date." And I'm like, "Yeah." They're like, "Why'd you buy that?" This is a great story, actually. So I'm walking a table in at Beach Club. And I kind of saw this guy looking at my wrist. I was for sure looking at his wrist because of what he was wearing. I'll get to that in a second. End up walking him back. And we get, about halfway to his table. And I was like, I cannot get over your watch. I have never seen one of those in person. And it's a brand that you have to be an enthusiast to know. It's called FP Journe. And it's independent watchmaker. The stuff he does is unreal. Like, if you're able to look into any of it.
What is it called?
FP Journe.
FP Journe. Hey, Chris, you're going to have to like pop up the most exotic FP Journe on the YouTube right now.
Their stuff is unreal. Just absolutely unreal. Like the Centigraph by them, it literally counts like 100th of a second. Like, how do you get a watch to count 100th of a second? And I'd never seen one before. And he's like, I noticed.
I just pulled it up and it's like, items for sale, $7,000. The next one, $279,000. $243,000, $499,000. So anyway,
it's just unreal. And they literally
$250,000 watch.
They literally, but what's cool about it is they only make 900 pieces a year, and that's like across their entire line. So to have something like so special like that, the movement in an FP Journe is only made out of gold. It's rose gold, completely like. It's just unreal, the craftsmanship that goes into them. So to see one in person, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's somebody who's wearing a piece of art on their hand. It's not a watch. It's a piece of art.
And at the end of the day, like, what is this? Like,
right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I can look at my phone and see that it's 827 like that.
Right.
You can, same with the Apple Watch. Like, you can bang that up and you're not worried about it. Like, this is literally like, again, it's men's jewelry, but there's a reason why people are spending that amount of money on a watch. So I saw his watch and, I made a comment. I was like, wow, I've never seen one before. And I don't get like that. I've seen Rainbow Daytonas at Beach Club.
Right.
Again, really cool to see.
Was that about $100,000 watch?
Rainbow Daytona? Retail, $94,000. Secondary market at the peak, probably about $1 million. So, I mean, for people to spend that amount of money on a watch, again, only at Wynn, you'll see that. But you're seeing, and again, for me, Wynn is like a playground. It's eye candy everywhere for me. I'm like, wow, where are you seeing a Rainbow Daytona anywhere in the wild? Where are you seeing a Platinum Daytona anywhere in the wild? Or just any of these cool watches? FP Journe. And he's like, I saw you wearing a no date sub. I figured if anyone was going to know what this was, it would be you. And I'm like, that is so cool that like he saw that. Again, not the most like insane watch.
Yeah, like how much does that watch retail for?
Retail, $9,000.
Got it.
Yeah, out the door you're spending like 10 and change. Like again,
expensive but not absurd.
Yeah, it's.
And what could you resell it for today? I know the resale
like
market's gone down.
Yeah, it has. Again, I don't know, probably close to 14.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, Chrono 24 obviously blows everything up. That's another thing is like reselling watches. The people that like go out and buy watches just to flip them, like flippers, that kills me. Like,
really pisses me off, man.
Someone like myself,
because you cannot get a Rolex new. Period.
You literally
just can't.
You can't, and it's just it ruins it for so many people. If you think about it. think about the guy that like a $10,000 watch is a lot of money, like to spend on something that's really unnecessary. You know, you spend $10,000 on a watch just to buy it to flip it. Well, now that, you know, let's use Pepsi, GMT, GMT, you know, red and blue.
Red and blue. I like the Batman better, but the Pepsi's cool.
I honestly like the Batman better too.
Yeah. People listening to this have no clue what we're talking about. We're super nerds.
I know, right? But I mean, you know, they're reselling for 25, 30 in between there.
When
like
they
at
retailed
the
at like 9, right? Or 11 maybe, somewhere in there.
So GMT Master was 10,550. Now after the whole Watches and Wonders 2023, they're now 10,700. So they went up. But
not like it matters because you can't get one.
Yeah, I mean, they're again any sports model Rolex, any Rolex, but especially the sports models, it's just so hard to get. But so like the moral of it is, for someone that $10,000 is a lot of money. It's still a lot of money, but I feel like 10,000 is obtainable if it's what you're passionate about, right? Like everyone, if there's a will, there's a way, right? But then you go and turn that $10,000 watch into a $30,000 watch, and now you're not only taking away from the ADs and what they can sell. Excuse me. And what they can sell, but now you're putting on the gray
What's
market.
AD?
The AD, authorized dealer.
Yeah.
You're taking away from their inventory, which Rolex makes 1 million watches a year worldwide. So, you know.
How do they make 1 million watches a year and there's still this scarcity? That's what blows my mind. Because I remember looking it up one time because I have the James Cameron edition.
So cool. Deep sea.
Yeah, best looking watch ever. And I love like just the thickness of the deep sea. Like I like everything about it. Watch. And I have kind of a skinny little like 12-year-old boy wrist.
No way. My wrist is a 12-year-old boy
wrist.
Okay, well, you have some meat on there.
We're pretty close. So the watch looks a little too beefy even sometimes.
For sure.
But I love that watch, and it was retail probably like 12.
I think it's
my uncle got a great. It came to me as a gift from my uncle. Thank you,
cool.
Uncle. He knows who he is. I think he got it for somewhere around 18, and it was in really good shape. It was like lightly worn, but it had been cleaned up really nice. But I'm like, fuck, dude, $18,000 for a watch, and then at the height, you probably could have sold it at 20 something. Now it's back down to the teens, because everything in the luxury market has gotten a little bit cheaper, even though inflation's up a bit. Maybe you can speak to that a little bit. Where is the watch resale market right now?
To be completely honest, I really don't.
Because it peaked during COVID.
Yeah, so I mean, it went crazy high. Everything was going for absurd prices. You know, at one point, I know my watch was selling for like $18,000. I was like, wow, like that's crazy to think. Sorry. And like now, of course, the economy is where it is, and everything started to kind of come down. I want to say like I'm just hoping the hype goes back down, right? Like, yeah, it sucks. Yeah, at one point you could walk into a Rolex boutique and buy a watch,
right,
and if anything, you could get them at a discount. Nowadays, like that's unheard of. Like, obviously, like you're not getting a watch. You can't walk in there and buy anything.
Anything stainless steel, like you just can't find them. And then it's made all the tier 2, like what's the one that's made out of the same factory as Rolex? Is it
Tudor?
Tudor, yeah. Tudor, like
awesome brand.
Super cool, but those things used to be like $1,200, $2,000. Now they're like $5,000, $4,000, $5,000.
So
it's
for their chrono, for their Black Bay chronograph, $5,000. But talk about a great watch,
right?
Like the stuff they do is awesome. Like really, like that's an enthusiast brand, and like anyone that's like, like I wouldn't wear a Tudor, like
they're super cool.
You're in it for the wrong reasons though. Like if you're really into watches for like as a passion, like again, like I said, I don't really follow the resale values and this, that, and the other because that's just not something I care about. For me, like watch buying and collecting is passion first. Yeah. People are like, yeah, it's an investment. It's an investment in myself.
Yeah.
Of course, like God forbid, like my mom is like starving or like I'm starving, then
you'll sell it.
I'll sell my watch so I'm not dying on the street. But like it's something like I would never get rid of.
Right.
You know, for so many reasons, right? The Sub wasn't the original watch I wanted to get. There's a Corky watch, and if you want to have it pulled up, you can have it pulled up. It's called a Milgauss. It got discontinued this year. Are you familiar with it?
Milgauss? No.
So
how do you spell
it's
that?
through Milgauss, I think.
Yeah, MIL Gauss.
Yeah, Milgauss. So it's basically Rolex's watch for the scientist. That's what it was designed for. For 1,000 Gauss is a measurement of electricity or magnetic field or something along those lines, right? out of all the watches I've seen at Beach Club, I've never seen a Milgauss with a Z Blue dial. So the reference number to the Milgauss is 116400 GV. GV is glass vert. So the sapphire on that watch, so like same with like our watches where it's not glass sapphire, it's clear. On that watch, it's green. And it's unreal. It looks so sick. And out of all the watches I've seen at Beach Club, I have never, to this day, seen a Z Blue Milgauss. And
how much are
what
those?
I wanted. I don't know, 9.5.
Oh, okay.
They were cheap. They just got discontinued.
So they'll be a little bit more expensive now.
You can't buy them now. Yeah, at least you can't buy them at an AD. And so originally that's what I wanted to get. And I was like, waiting for it. And then this whole thing came up with my dad's watch. And so that's, again, I don't know if we got that on the podcast, but my dad was who introduced me to watches. And I remember seeing my dad with a two-tone sub, the Bluesy.
Yeah.
Blue dial, blue, at the time it was an aluminum bezel, not ceramic. And that's what got me into watches, was like seeing that and like understanding that and taking care of something like that. And when I found out like I couldn't get his, I was like, oh my God, I have to have a sub. Like I have to have a sub. And if I'm going to get a sub, it's going to be this one. Just because, again, James Bond wore this watch.
Right.
That's cool. I don't know if we swear, but that's super cool.
You can say whatever you want. This is not safe for work, not safe for kids.
Yeah, I mean, that's just unreal. James Bond, what a guy. Wearing the sub, no date sub. That's sick. It's just, again, it's an icon, and you can't go wrong with it.
You know, my wife and I were walking through, I think Caesars, and I'll probably pronounce this wrong, Blanchton, B-L-A-S.
Velocipan or something. I know what you're talking about.
How they pronounce it is just silly. Yeah. But we'd had a really good month. This is like 2 years ago when everybody and their brother was refinancing and in the mortgage industry or printing money. And we walked by and my wife was like, oh man, you just had like your best month ever. You should buy yourself something. Let's go look at this watch. And I already knew where this is going because it's like the sexiest dive watch you've ever seen.
I want to say, is this the 50 Fathoms or is that a
Yeah.
Is
That's
the 50
it.
Fathoms?
That's 50
okay,
Fathoms.
That's
yeah.
the one I thought it was.
Okay, so we walk in and it's like it's in its own like steel case,
sure.
and I just know how this is gonna go.
Yeah.
And my wife tells the guy, "Hey, can we see the one in the showcase there, or whatever?" And he's like, "Oh, man, you have great taste." And all these complications and everything. And then she pulls it out and. She looks at it, you know, we look at it and I'm like, so what does this run? And he's like, oh, well, you know, it's listed at 272,000, but you know, we could probably do something on the price or whatever. And my wife like the music stops,
I'm for sure
right?
wrong. That is not a 50 Fathoms.
Okay,
sure. I'm
well,
thinking of something completely
She
different.
goes, and she's like, wait a minute, did you? And when she thinks it's a lot of money, she says it in Spanish. So however you say mil siete, whatever.
Yeah.
She said 272,000 in Spanish. She's like, and she goes, like a house? And the guy goes,
wow.
Yeah, I mean, probably not the house that you guys live in, but yeah, you could buy a house for the equivalent of what this watch is. Wow. And it was $250,000.
That's crazy.
And my wife was so freaked out, I couldn't believe she didn't drop it because she was just like,
in shock.
In shock. And then I had to explain to her the whole thing of like, hey man, there's functional watches, there's nice watches like the ones we have in the safe.
On it?
Oh, it was a dive watch that had everything. You know, it was.
See, so I'll show you this.
It was just $250,000, which is bonkers.
This is what I was thinking of that you were talking about.
Which
is like a plain Jane.
It was much more fancy than that.
Yeah.
It was so fancy, I wouldn't even feel comfortable wearing it. Like I would feel comfortable wearing that. How much does that run? That 50 Fathoms.
Yeah. So it looks. This is like on. I don't know what it's on their website, but it's showing at this prestige time for 11,000.
Yeah.
The James Cameron one you have is cool. That is a really cool watch. James Cameron is great.
I'm a big fan.
Like, even did you see Rolex came out with that monster 50 millimeter, just behemoth?
No.
So it was the first time Rolex had used titanium, and they came out with a 50 millimeter dive watch.
That would just look silly on my hand.
It would be. It's huge. It's literally a pancake, but it'll go to the bottom of the Mariana Trench, and that was the point of it, was to like have that achievement.
Right.
No one's going to the bottom of Mariana Trench, but like a watch like the James Cameron, that's such a cool watch to have. Like I almost feel like you have the James Cameron, you have that, and then you have a sub, and then it's like the whole. Like that's so cool, right? Like that's the person that would buy that watch, is someone that just a massive like dive watch collector.
My buddy had a watch. I can't remember what brand it is, but you might know after I tell you. And it's made specifically for pilots, where like there's a big big dial on the bottom that if you unscrew it and you take it out, it actually alerts the FAA that you've like crashed.
Oh wow!
And it's some absurdly fancy brand, absurdly expensive, and like you have to sign a waiver when you get it, because if you unscrew that and you take it out, and you haven't crashed, they'll charge you like $5,000 for like launching the search and rescue team. And it was wicked. And I was like, so I didn't even know you're a pilot. He's like, I'm not a pilot. It just makes me look rich. And I was like, dude.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, I love the way it looks. And it's the most expensive one they sell at the company.
Yeah.
And I was like, that's a weird reason to have a very like FAA certified watch, but
sure.
he was a big fan. I got another buddy who had a diamond encrusted Daytona, something $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 stolen out of a hotel.
Wow.
Brutal. Insurance wouldn't cover it. It's like,
that's tough.
You start thinking about that. That's a little scary.
Yeah. Let's talk about diamonds and watches. Anything factory set, of course, is ultra rare, ultra masterpiece. Anything set by Rolex is done perfect. Where it starts to get hairy is like the aftermarket stuff.
Yeah.
You know, and as you know, you don't own a James Cameron and not know this, but like it just destroys the value of a watch.
Yeah, you're done.
Like it ruins it.
Because I was gonna get our last name engraved on the back of the watch, so like I could, you know, my uncle gave it to me, I could give it to my son one day. Yeah. And the guy who my uncle bought it from said, whatever you do not engrave your name on anything. If you want to put your initials on maybe one of the links that comes out,
for sure,
cool. But like people do all kinds of crazy stuff aftermarket to their watch, and the value just tanks.
Yeah,
nobody wants to buy a watch that says Groves on it, but. Even if I was
do
dying
that
on
the
street,
case back though,
on like which part's the case back?
So like on the back of the watch, like here we go, like right here.
Okay.
Like I don't have it done, but like when you buy them, like from Rolex, they offer it to you. They're like, oh, do you want to put something cool like on the back?
Oh, interesting.
It'd be something cool, you know, like you could put your name, like you said, and it's something like only you would know about.
Right.
So like if there's like a saying to you that like meant something to you, and obviously if you're like gonna keep it, you know.
Yeah, I'll never give it a thing. If I'm starving in the street, I won't sell it. I'll be the only homeless guy wearing a $15,000 Rolex.
Right? Baller.
Yeah. It'd be like, it's fake, dude. It's fake. Have you looked into the world of like fake watches at all? Because a lot of the fake watches are getting like pretty good visually. I mean,
so I've seen where they're like calling them super clones and everything, and again, like anything I don't have interest in, I really don't spend my time doing, just because I have such limited time.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I've seen them on Instagram where like people will post like a real one. What I see it with a lot is the Hulk.
Oh, the green
and green sub.
Yeah.
Like I see a lot of fakes on Instagram with that, and I'll look at them and I'm like, I don't see a difference. And sometimes I think it's a joke. I'm like, oh no, there's two real ones right there. And maybe there is, but I don't know. Someone will be like, oh yeah, that's fake, and this, that, and the other. But
who are your favorite like Instagram or YouTube follows for?
By far, like Nico Leonard.
Who?
His name's Nico Leonard.
Spell it.
Nico.
And then Leonard. Okay.
God, he is literally the coolest guy in the world. Like if I could meet anybody, it would be him.
Just message him. Tell him you can get him a deal on a table.
I've DM'd him for sure. And I'm like, hey, you're in LA, come to Vegas. I promise, like it'll be sick. Literally, like the passion that like he just exudes is intoxicating. Like it just, you can't help but have it run off. He has a brand called God Tier, and like his whole thing is like he calls watches God Tier, like certain brands, right? Like Casio, for instance. I was gonna bring a couple watches with me to kind of like show you like what I had and why I have them, but I didn't. For instance, like I have are you familiar with the Cassie Oaks? They like are kind of in the shape of an AP Royal Oak.
No.
But it's oh god, it's called the 2100. I don't know. And then there's a dash and a lot of zeros and then some other numbers. But anyways, the nickname for him is the Cassie Oak.
This is a Casio watch.
A Casio G-Shock. And like that, Nico will call that God Tier. And why that's God Tier is because like everyone can buy that. The rich of the rich are buying that, and the most like, you know, impoverished people, you could literally buy one for $5. Not that one, but like you could buy a Casio F91W for for $20 on Amazon if you want it and have it to your house tomorrow. You know, like, and that is so cool. I have an F91W. Do I wear it to XS? Yes, 1000%. And I hope someone asks me about it. Like, oh, why are you wearing that? Like, let me tell you, like anyone can own this. It's so cool. And like, that's awesome. Again, like Nico will talk about Rolex, and he is a big Rolex guy. And I think that's why I gravitate towards that. But without Rolex and without the way they did things, the watch industry wouldn't be what it is.
So here's an interesting question. If you had $100, $1,000,
Okay.
$10,000, and then you won the lotto.
Awesome question. So if I had $100, I would